Welcome back, everyone, to Council Sessions. We are continuing our ongoing debates of all the disputes happening in the galaxy. And with me to go on to a very important topic that he is very close to, I would say, is our good friend Coup Master Coup. What's happening?
Fellas, how's it going, everybody? I will say, I want to ask. So I'm on the council right now, right? We're discussing. Am I granted the rank of master, though? Am I? Because your answer could turn me to the dark
side. You are a master now.
I'm still going to the dark side. I was hoping you'd say no.
Okay.
Awesome. Great.
So you're a guest, so you're not a master. How about that?
Okay. Then? Yeah. Well, I'm angry about it.
Okay.
I'm gonna crush some younglings.
Could you be on the council and not a master? Right?
Portrayed perfectly, if you ask me.
Anyway,
the rumors are true.
Yeah, I know, right? Thanks everybody for joining us. We've got a couple of good feedback from people enjoying these new videos that we're putting out there. So we actually got you got to listen to our next Inside the Force, which will be episode 303, where Casey and I are going to be rolling out all of our playlists that we're doing on our YouTube channel now. Not only council sessions, but we actually got a couple more that we're going to go over. And similar format to this, where kind of shorter videos, topic based, and we're just gonna dive into that kind of stuff. So check that out. But as we get into council sessions here, we've got what we do on this episode or these shows here is we ask one question and we discuss it, and we may have different opinions. We may land on different solutions, but in the end, we've got we're going to try dive into this topic and try to figure it out. So the question that we are going to answer in this episode is simply, who is Darth Maul?
Who is Darth Maul?
Now, first off, Kumash, could you talk about a little bit of, to you personally, not who is Darth Maul, but why are you such a fan of Darth Maul's?
I don't trying to keep it into a nutshell, trying to keep it short. Me and my brother got into Star Wars basically right before the episode 1, 2, and 3. I think it was the 25th anniversary? I can't remember, but it's when they revamped. All the Power of the Force toys came out, and then boom, you got 1, 2, and 3 coming out, and we're right at that perfect age. And Darth Maul was like just. You just used to. I mean, Vader's cool, Emperor's cool. I always liked the bad guys, but he just looked. I mean, those tattoos, those horns, those eyes. Yeah. Like you never. I feel like Emperor maybe had some weird eyes, but it was the first time you dived in and saw more of the Sith, and it was like the first time that you kind of saw more. And like, oh, there's more. You mean there has a red lightsaber? I guess that definitely means they're bad guys. And he just fought so different, and we had never seen a lightsaber fight like that ever, and it was just totally different. Duel of Fates. I mean, you just like, I could rewatch that part over and over and over again. So right then and there, he's my favorite Star Wars character. And what happens? He gets at that point. He's dead.
He's dead,
and everybody gets to enjoy all the favorite characters, Yoda, and Luke, and everybody's back, and everybody's great. Everybody, Rey, great. But man, it's. And I got Maul, in the animated stuff. That was awesome. And finally, and as each story comes, he gets more and more in depth. And I guess I think he's just got such a cool look. I think the look was the first thing that attracted me about him, but then it's just his ferocity, his feralness, his I don't know. That's just that whole thing. Yeah.
Well, and I think as we talk more about it, I think this a lot more of that'll come out, because as we go through his timeline real quick, like you said, introduced in 1999 with episode 1, The Phantom Menace. and unfortunately, apparently he died in episode 1. So I think that was a big. I remember that being a big conversation amongst Star Wars fans at the time. Was why couldn't we have him for episodes 2, episodes 3, or why couldn't he?
Why did they kill him?
Why they have to kill him? Yeah. So, but of course we do get him resurrected in the Clone Wars. Dave Filoni and George is a lot of people may not know, but George is the one that brought him back. George Lucas said, "Bring back."
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. I thought
bring back
Darth Maul.
Dead. He's like, nope, he's dead.
Well, he did at the time. But when they did the Clone Wars and the storylines, lined up, him and Dave Filoni worked on it to bring him back. And then of course he shows up in Rebels, and then he shows up in live action again at the end of Solo. He has a couple comics. Awesome. Yeah, he has a couple comics. Huh? He is referenced in Queen's Peril, the book that just came out recently about episode 1 also. Then, of course, just some highlights of him. He's technically the first, what we know of anyway, I think this is right, but he's the first Sith apprentice to Darth Sidious, right?
I think as far as we know, yeah.
As far as we know. He fully blames Obi-Wan Kenobi for taking away his destiny, and we hear that more and more through the last episode of the Clone Wars. Yeah, totally obsessed with Kenobi. He forms what we know of in Clone Wars as the Shadow Collective, which is a combination of some major crime syndicates: the Pikes, Black Sun, the Hutts, Death Watch. Takes over Mandalore in a sense. Recruits his own apprentice, his brother Savage Opress. Is the son. A lot of people don't know this either, though. He is the son of Mother Talzin, right? The lead of
the Bloods. I mean, the Blood Son actually had him, yeah,
of Mother Talzin, and eventually, after the Clone Wars, we see him fully take over Crimson Dawn, as alluded to in Solo. But ultimately, he is forever killed again by Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
In Star Wars Rebels.
I think that's it.
So he has this enormous story arc now from 1999 all the way till pretty much last year, or what was it, 2018 when Solo came out. We have this almost 20 years worth of Darth Maul, right? And all these different storylines that we never thought we'd get. When you look at that, Cory, when you look at that whole, when someone says, tell me who Darth Maul is, like, where do you go with that? Because he's not necessarily a Sith anymore. But what do you think of him more as now?
I mean, he, to be honest, I mean, he's a survivor. I mean, think about all the things he's survived. I mean, getting cut in half, losing his mind, right?
Yeah,
and only the rage and vengeance towards Kenobi is what kept him on one arrow, at least. Yeah, I mean, a survivor, a cunning survivor, and I think he's grown in his own Maul way from when you see him in episode 1, and then obviously when you see him in Solo, but you could really tell in this recent the story arc with Ahsoka in the Clone Wars ending. That, I mean, you've seen his knowledge of the Force there, and maybe it's just because we didn't see him use it as much towards the beginning. But to me, it just seems like as he got older, he quit. He got his fighting declined almost in a way, or he didn't rely on his acrobatics and his fighting style as much as like if you could have a line graph, his fighting and his force would, and that's kind of like how it is, right? Almost. I mean, for Jedi and any force user that like Yoda. I mean, Yoda, he doesn't really even need to fight. He could just, throw you, and he has such a power and will of the force that. So it's just interesting, I think, to see that, but I think at the end of the day, no matter what, he's always been a survivor. I think so. I mean, even though he's changed throughout the time.
Yeah, so he's been Sith apprentice. He's been, I guess, crime leader, syndicate leader.
I mean, technically, whatever happens with the rule of two, I mean, that's really the only reason why he was declared not a Sith, I think, was that the rule of two, now that that's taken, you're no longer a Sith, or something that I think it's something that Palpatine told him. But yeah, anyways, so.
Well, I think he's a Sith.
He ends up hating the Sith, obviously, but.
Yeah, and I think ultimately what I think we're going to get as far as the rule of two is there's only two leaders, but there's all these Sith. And I think he was the apprentice, right? There was a master and apprentice. He was the apprentice for a while. Then ultimately he may or not became a Sith still or not. But it seemed like he did, because in Rebels, he was still looking for Sith holocrons, and he was able to open that holocron.
Knowledge. He's definitely a knowledge seeker.
Right.
I mean, that could be a thing. You put that in a bullet point. Knowledge seeker. He's always had the rage. It's always been the hate and the rage. That's always shined through. But just think of that polar going from episode 1, even before then, hating the Sith, bloodlust for the Sith, or for the Jedi, wanting to destroy them, all the way to pretty much fighting with them to destroy the Sith. I mean, that's such a crazy arc. Like, how do you, when you put those 2 points on a board and say, this is where he is, and this is what he's going to be. I mean, that's got to look crazy. That's why he's one of the most interesting characters and the most pivotal characters, I think, of Star Wars. I mean, he's affected a lot of stuff. He's put a lot of people on a lot of different paths. Like, if there was no Maul, I mean, you got to think, like, that's basically Han Solo, I mean, especially for Solo, like that, would he have gotten to the place he was? Like, we don't really know yet, I guess.
We don't.
And that's the thing, if you watch Solo.
And that's the thing. There's a lot of time there between Solo, I think, takes place 10 years before episode 4. So there's 9 years from the Clone Wars till Solo.
Still a lot of gaps.
Which feels like that he's been, until we find out more, it feels like he's been in the shadows this whole time. Like, if the Emperor knew, I feel like if the Emperor knew he was still alive out there, he would have sent Vader or sent some Inquisitors or whatever to take him out, right? I mean,
yes, I 100% agree with that, and that's something I would love to see.
Absolutely.
How did he get to Malachor? That's just the thing.
That's right. We don't know that either.
Why he's stranded there.
Yeah. So, I ultimately, for me, I would still, if, again, someone says, who is Darth Maul? I would still consider him. I would still consider him a Sith, even though I know he goes underground and starts leading the Crimson Dawn Syndicate. Yeah. But again, I don't think a lot of people know he is the leader of, because Dryden Voss is still the face of Crimson Dawn. So I think, I just think that a lot of people don't know he exists out there. So he's still driven, like you said, he's still driven by this revenge for Obi-Wan. His entire existence, from episode 1 till when he finally finds him on Tatooine again. That's the only thing that's driving this guy, is how do I find Obi-Wan Kenobi? Because I know he's still alive out there. I know that my rage is not going to go away until I kill this guy.
I think that's definitely number 1. Yeah. His number 1 on his list.
Yeah. So to me, those dark side feelings, the ability to still practice the Force, I mean, I would still say that Darth Maul is a
Really?
very powerful Sith.
Hmm.
I would
It's
still call him a Sith.
Sith. I mean, you think about the Sith though, like Sith in name only. I mean, but like he doesn't consider himself a Sith because he doesn't go by Darth Maul. Uh, he wants to destroy the Sith, but he's still, definitely dark side, obviously, but just
Yeah,
because of his rage and his
but even in this last season of Clone Wars, he was still trying to draw
Mhm.
Ahsoka to the dark side in a
yeah,
sense
he's always kind of trying to,
of join me. And I mean, that's a Sith. That's what a Sith
yeah.
does, right?
He's a survivalist. Like he saw
Join
that
me,
window.
and
Yeah,
we will go take out. Because at that point, it's not that he's not. To me, in a way, it's not that he's not a Sith or doesn't believe in the Sith. It's that he doesn't. He felt betrayed by Sidious,
yeah,
so he's jealous that
yeah.
Anakin is this new
Sure.
apprentice.
Yeah,
So he's, of course, jealousy is another feeling of the
of
dark
course,
side, right?
of course.
So he's
Hate, yeah,
saying, you know what, Ahsoka, come with me. We'll kill Anakin, which therefore will end Palpatine's
yeah,
plans, and then eventually we'll just go kill Palpatine, and then we'll
yeah.
lead everything. Because everything's going to fall. The Republic's going to fall. The Jedi are going to
Yeah.
fall.
He has an
So
idea
he
about
still
that.
has
Yeah,
that. He still has that power, lust, and I think it's uh, indicative of what he did with the crime syndicates. Also, like that sense of control.
talk about seizing an opportunity. He definitely seizes an. Ahsoka was not a part of the plan at all. Like
No.
Ahsoka showing up was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, I'm gonna make lemonade out of lemons.
That's right.
And he's definitely manipulative. Uh, he's very, very good at finding a common. He did it with Ezra. He did it with. He's very good at finding that common thing, and let's work together.
Mm-hmm.
And but like throughout that, he kind of pinpricks you and sets you down that path. He's really good at that. Like, and a really strong-willed person. Like, he's. I mean, I should say he's good at attempting, because I don't know if it's ever worked out for him, but
Yeah.
he's really
Right.
good. It could have. We may not have seen it, but he's
Yeah.
definitely good at attempting it, and he, just leading you down that path before you even realize that you're heading down that path,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
by finding that common goal. But yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely a pattern with
So
him.
what? So if you don't think if you don't think he's a Sith or identifies as Sith, then who is he to you? Then who is Darth Maul to you? Then I know you said
Um,
Survivor, but how
he's
do you
the
categorize
survivor.
him as far
He's
as he's not a Sith?
in
Is
Star
he
Wars. Yeah,
just a
dark,
thug?
dark,
Is he?
dark side user. I think he is definitely a dark side force user. But I think that is something that now to him is it serves a different purpose, I think, than it used to. It's weird because I can't really think of a character that is so
Mm.
like there's the different realms of Star Wars, right? There's like scum and villainy. There's the like almost like card games and stuff we used to play. There are
Yeah,
different realms where people kind of stick to their lane, right?
yeah. There's the
And sometimes
smugglers. There's the
well, like Kyle
smugglers.
was it Kyle Katarn who was like a force user, but he was kind of like a
Yes,
smuggler. Like you
yes.
got to see that, but like a dark side force user in that world is like the trump card. I mean, that is
Yeah, we haven't
everybody's
seen it before.
using blasters and stuff. They're just whatever. He's very scary. He's a very scary guy. So to give him a certain category is he's he's a dark side force user. Yeah,
Well, that
maybe.
okay.
I mean,
So here's a little bit of that question. How about this? So someone like Dryden Voss, someone like Jabba the Hutt, someone like the Pike leader, forget his name, but those
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
if you were to ask those people, would you think they would say is that Darth Maul is a force user or a crime lord?
Sure, I can see where it depends, on a certain point of view, that he could be those. I mean, I think definitely a crime lord. I mean, definitely a crime lord. Uh, Very scary and powerful. It kind of reminds me now that we're talking through it. It kind of reminds me of Vader and the Navy general, like the generals and admirals and everything. Like,
Mm,
they looked at him as like, why would you keep practicing this witchcraft? Like, this is the way
yeah.
the world is now. Like, you're old,
Hmm.
man. Like, that stuff doesn't even.
Ancient religion, right?
Yeah, and until he's like, you have no idea, like what you're talking about, and just crushes people. And Tarkin's the only one that's like, release him, Veda. Like, come on, quit messing around. So yeah, that's kind of what it reminds me of, and like that's kind of probably
Hmm.
what these crime lords were like, which was like, we have this guy who is scary looking dude, but we're all scary looking dudes, but he can move stuff with his mind. So there's really nothing they can do. So maybe there's some kind of parallel there,
Yeah, there is a
that we
parallel
could
out there.
that
Yeah.
we can tie into. But yeah, crime lord, uh, dark side force user, survivalist, manipulator.
Hmm.
Even going back to kind of on a tangent here, but he's I mean, he was kind. I don't think he was technically sold to Sidious, but I mean, he wasn't necessarily an orphan because he had
Well,
Mother Talzin, but
he was kind of given to
he
him
was
as a gift
as a
almost.
gift, yeah, which is, I mean, kind of indicative of like almost like slavery of some kind. I mean, he's
Yeah.
like he, but yet he had this really strong. What's that syndrome where the captors fall in love with the captee falls in love with the captors?
Oh,
Patsy Cline or something had it, or whatever her name is. I don't know. But like, he, saw him as a father figure because he never really had a father in that. So
true.
that's his. He even forgot his given name. He even forgot he had a name at some point. Doesn't remember what it was. But that so looking up at this father figure, at Palpatine, and adoring him and wanting to please him. And but there always that Sith rule, which is like, Sith are always loyal until they're not.
Until they're
Like, I,
not,
I,
right?
I love that line.
Yeah.
And but he was different. There was a father thing going on. Like, it wasn't just
Mhm.
a master and apprentice. So there's all that hurt and turmoil going on inside him. So he's also got daddy issues. You
Yeah.
know, kind of.
Yeah.
There's some real world. Like, if we could have you should really had a psychiatrist on, and like, who knows Star Wars, because they could have
Right.
like diagnosed him, with something, having some really repressed problems with his childhood. I mean, they tattooed him at like when he was a baby, like a kid.
Yeah.
Imagine being tattooed all over your body like that when you're young.
Yeah. No. I know
So
it.
he's got a lot of issues. He's got a lot of issues, and he's done rather well for himself, having, so to speak,
He
having had a lot
has.
of
Yeah.
issues in his
I, I
childhood.
think. I think ultimately, as new characters are getting introduced and new storylines are coming, I think because of what Dave Filoni has done with him in the Clone Wars and ultimately with Star Wars Rebels and the somewhat conclusion of his life there, uh, it's amazing to think this, what we thought about him back in '99 to where he is
Yeah,
now. He
yeah.
has become, and I think will live on as one of the most iconic Star Wars characters
Hmm.
um,
Influential
ever.
to the storyline, definitely, and Ahsoka. I
Yeah,
mean,
totally.
some of these characters that were kind of small at first are really very important to,
Hmm.
as each thing comes to what we got,
Yeah.
which I love that about Star Wars, and they kind of Rogue One was a great one. It's probably one of my top three, favorite Star Wars movies. But uh, it just because any story, any kind of Star Wars story, and it happens in Star Wars a lot, that you watch a movie and then you have to watch the other movie just to get it in new context. Like the Rogue One, you can't tell me that after people watching Rogue One in the theater didn't go home and watch the entire A New Hope just to see that whole end scene just in your head to just, you know what I mean, like just to play it out.
Yeah, sure.
Like that's or Rogue One. Yeah. Anyways, back and forth, but yeah, to watch that first minutes of A New Hope. It's just that's such a good, that's so great. And what Filoni and John Favreau is doing, man, is just give him I would just, if that was me, I'd just give him the wheel. I'd say, here you go.
No, totally. Yeah.
Here's the credit card, guys. Have fun at the mall. Like,
yeah,
do what you gotta do.
Unfortunately, they probably won't be able to bring Maul back again.
No, he's dead now. But there's
a
lot of good stories. There's a lot of good stories, and I think that will be one of those things that people will go back and watch over and over and over again. That scene, because now we have that. What is it? Quentin Tarantino. They Quentin Tarantino'd us, so now we've got the end. We know what the end is, so now they can go back and make that end even better by giving it backstory and context. And that's, I mean, there's so much room now for. I mean, Solo, man. I walked out of the theater saying this is my favorite Star Wars movie. Period. At first, the main reason was because Maul.
Maul showed up. Yeah.
I thought they were gonna kick me out of theater. Like I got up, I was screamed. Like I was like, I can't. I mean, I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I wanted to talk about it all the time. But then after going back and rewatching it, it's actually a really, really good movie.
It is a good movie.
Yeah, but just to see Maul and the fact that they did it right. And then when I say did it right, like they gave Whitworth's voice. Like that was on Ray Park. Like, oh my gosh. Like, that's so cool.
And they gave him, you can see the mechanical legs, and he's got the same saber as he does in Rebels, so it was very detailed. It was very detailed and very, very good. Now, so ultimately, as we finish up here, I'll go one more time and then you can go. But in after this good discussion that we just had, if you were again to ask me who is Darth Maul, I would answer simply that he is probably one of the most, and I'll take a word from you, influential and important characters into the main timeline that we have now of Star Wars, because like you said, I agree with you. He has crossed so many paths and so many different mediums. He's been in TV shows, movies, books, comics. There's so many people that have been influenced and or affected by Darth Maul. And I think that so who is he? He is one of the most important and influential characters in the Star Wars timeline. That's what I would say. That's what I would say.
I think I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
I mean, if you, and now I'm just thinking like, I wish I'd have done this before the show because this would be really interesting. Like the good old detective, like put the pictures on the wall and draw the strings.
Oh man.
You put Darth Maul in the center and then you take strings and you say, okay, who look at all the characters he's come in contact with. What have those characters done in result of meeting him, and see how far that goes. How far that goes.
I mean, he's one of the few.
Yeah, I mean,
he's one of the few characters that even wielded the Darksaber.
Yeah.
I mean, not many people could even say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, having control over the Mandalorians. I mean,
yeah,
he's a scary dude. I mean, he's come He's come a long way, and now just seeing him what he did, which really mimicked again. It's kind of weird that as we're talking through this, we're finding a lot of parallels between Maul and Vader. But when he walked through that hallway, she's like, "I'm not going to give you your saber," or whatever Ahsoka did when she let him go. Like, you just need to do what you do. And seeing him do that with the Force, I mean,
oh yeah,
that's on par with Vader. I mean,
yeah.
he was, but I mean, Vader can just straight up and go, "No, stop, don't," stop. And but he was still ripping pieces of metal off and just throwing it. Like, that's scary. That's a scary dude.
That's scary. Very scary.
Yeah, he's it's
very powerful.
Absolutely.
Well,
but I'm gonna agree with you. He's influenced I'd say one of the most. Oh man, I don't know. Should I dare say? I mean, top three. I mean, who's your other top three? I mean, Yoda, obviously, probably is the most.
What top three? What most
like influential plot driving characters in Star Wars?
Well, I mean,
that shows up, and that I mean, I think. Would it be
influential Luke? As far as the manipulation and influence of the timeline? I think
top five.
I think it's arguably the number one is Palpatine, just based on
what
he
did. Right. Yeah, you're probably right.
Destroying the Republic, destroying number the
one.
Order.
You're 100%
He's by
right.
far number one.
I'd say Maul is top five.
Anakin, I think Maul is definitely top five. Anakin's got to be there too.
Yeah.
Probably maybe Obi-Wan. I mean,
I think we're gonna. And we're also thinking. We're just thinking Force users. I mean, we're not thinking like Mon Mothma or Bail Organa.
Yes.
Like,
Padme.
we're not thinking. Yeah. So,
Leia.
But I think out of everybody, I mean, Maul's up there, man.
Yeah, and you got to think of it in the context of probably now all the mediums of Star Wars. Like, if they're just in the movies, maybe not so much influential. But if you've got books on them and comics on them,
right?
And, it's like
different genres.
Yeah. I think that's
a medium.
So guess what? That's probably another council session topic.
Ah, interesting. Hey,
see how we do that? Things
I see what you did there.
Up for the next one.
Yeah.
But
I'm excited.
But that's Maul. That's Maul. I think there's a lot. I think there is still a lot more to come from Darth Maul. I think there's going to be, like you 100%. Said, we know the beginning and we know the end, but there's still a lot in the middle that we don't know of, and I think fans want. I mean, you're hearing it right now. You're hearing a ton of rumors right now of possible Disney Plus spinoff series from Solo right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking Kira. A lot of people are talking Lando, but I gotta believe Maul is in that conversation as well. It's got to be.
Mandalorian, man. Mandalorian. I for more reasons than just it being amazing, has paved the way for live action Star Wars, and I hope they do. I hope that's all they do now. I mean, I love the animated.
I think we're going to get a lot of them.
Golly, that could be the future of Star Wars. We could get movies.
Very well, Kill.
We could get them. I think that's where if you follow the path and the river and what things are taking us, people. It's these streaming shows, and I think, hey, if you follow the wind, and this is
Yep.
I'm ready. My body is ready.
Yeah, I want more Star Wars movies, but I'll take whatever I can get.
Sure, of course.
But if they're good stories like that, totally, I'm all for it. So, well, thanks, Master Ku, for diving into one of your favorite characters, Darth Maul. I think we even heightened it a little bit, maybe after this conversation.
Totally, I think we did it. I think we crushed it.
Yeah, I think we did too. Yeah, found. Yeah.
COVID.
All right. Check us out. Subscribe to us on YouTube for more council sessions, as well as the weekly podcast Inside the Force We got a couple other segment shows coming. You can find that out on episode 303. We're going to talk about that. And dare I say, do you want to talk about what you're working on, Master Q?
Oh man. Well,
what do you got going on?
Well, there's this rumor out there that perhaps an old show may come from the bow. After being cut in half, an old show may come back, and maybe a little crazy. Could be a half spider, and be yeah. So I don't know who watches this if they even know what we're talking about, but I want to see if anybody in the comments can guess what may be coming back. Hopefully here in the near future. I'll leave it at that.
I'll leave it at that. Okay.
I want to get some.
It involves Master Q. How about that?
Yes, it does. It involves. Yes, it does. And you,
and me, and
you. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think people that have been with us for a long time know what we're talking about. But
I hope so. I hope. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. More to come on that. And so, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, Master Q, for hanging out.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We'll be back next time to talk about the galaxy's biggest issues right here on Council Sessions. Thanks for joining. Take care. May the Force be with you.